Stress is a part of everyday life. We all have it all the time. Look, we're in demand. It's just part of how it goes. But you always have the choice. You have the choice to decide, is that stress going to dictate how you live your life, how you get shit done, and how you feel overall? I hope you are saying hell no right now. Watch this interview with Dr. Kathy Gruver. She will teach us how to change your focus, be present in your life, and conquer your stress. Thank you for watching this episode of Sassy AF TV. And if you love it, don't forget to share it in all the places at Sassy Healthy Fit. Welcome back to another episode of Sassy AF TV. I'm Hallie Avolio with Sassy Healthy Fit, and I'm so excited to have our guest on here today, Dr. Kathy Gruver. You are our first doctor, by the way.
Oh, very good. Well, I hope I live up to all the hype.
You should. Okay, I have to read your bio because I've known Kathy for so long, and I'm a little embarrassed to admit this, but I didn't know very much about your background until just recently. And then as I've read about it, I'm like, she did that? And she did that? What? You did all these cool things. I'm like, okay, this woman has got to be on the show, and she's amazing. So I'm going to read this because there's so much good stuff. So Dr. Kathy Gruver is an international public speaker, author, podcaster, trapeze artist, and hip-hop dancer. That's pretty badass. She has written 7 books, and she's been featured in numerous publications, including Glamour, Fitness, Time, WebMD, Huffington Post, and others. She's also been featured on over 250 radio and TV shows. She's a ball of fire, and she's a ton of fun. That was my addition. Welcome, Kathy.
Yay! Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
I'm so glad you're here. I just want to mention that, so a few weeks ago, or a little while ago, I was on your podcast, which was so much fun, the Fire and Earth podcast, and we were talking about heroes. So I want to start our conversation today. I want to know, if you could have a superpower, what would it be?
I go back and forth between making every red light green.
Ooh.
Because I'm impatient a little bit. And so my superpower is twofold. It has to do with healing, because I've been a massage therapist for 30 years, which is so weird because I'm only 32. So I think I had very small hands, but I was very strong.
You were born with magic hands.
I was born with magic hands. So there is part of me that, from that massage healing aspect, I would like to be able to travel inside someone's body, see what the real issue is, and then fix it. The other side of that is touch people and give them the strength and the awareness, sort of like those magic glasses, to be able to see what I see, whether it's the good in them or an idea or a perspective, or because I think we can always look to other people and we see things they don't. And it's so hard to convince them of, no, but if you could only see what I see. So I kind of want this magic touch of ping. Okay, now you have this, like, Wonder Woman's, they'll tell the truth now that they're in the thing. I want to wrap them in something so that they can see the true self, and they can see the potential, and they can see the opportunities, and they can see the amazing beauty that I see in them. So those are my two. I'm going to combine those into one.
I love that. Well, I don't know about the red light one, but I think with the work that you do, I'm not sure that we can fix that situation. Okay. But, I think with the work that you do, you actually do have that superpower to help people see the beauty that exists within them, through all of the things that you do, and just your energy. I mean, your energy is contagious. Absolutely.
Cool.
I'm sure you've been told that before, maybe once or twice.
A little bit, yeah. Okay, well, my work here's done then.
Done.
Great. All right, thanks for having me on. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, thanks for watching. Have a nice day.
Shortest podcast ever.
Right? That was fast. See, we just rock and roll here at Sassy Healthy Fit.
Yep.
So, one of the things I'm really curious about, we're talking about stress today. And stress is just this overwhelming blanket term, I feel like. It's our go-to. I think a lot of us as humans are like, oh, I'm stressed. Yeah, I'm stressed. I'm shutting down. I can't do this. I'm stressed. And it's just this really quick go-to that I feel like we don't even think about necessarily what that means.
Yep.
And I'd love to know kind of your take, because you've done a lot of work, a lot of education, a lot of background on stress management and conquering your stress, right? That's one of your books, is Conquering Your Stress and Conquer Your Stress in the Workplace. So talk to me a little bit about stress, and, what are your thoughts on it? Why is it so easy for us to use that as I'm stressed, that's it?
Yeah, I think it has become, I'll give you the definition of stress first. So the definition of stress is a perception that demands are going to exceed our resources. So it's this feeling that stuff is happening we can't handle. Because if we felt we could handle it, it wouldn't be stress. It would just be this other thing that we have to do. The traditional definition of stress is a threat, real or imagined. So we have this fight or flight response. We're walking down the street at night, someone jumps out, we have that fight or flight response. It's a natural chemical reaction. It has allowed us to survive to this point and evolve into these beings that we are now. The perception and the imagined threat, this is what gets us humans in trouble, because we're the only animal that can think things like that. We're the animal, when the boss says, I'll see you first thing Monday morning. Okay, first of all, there goes our weekend. And second,
Big time.
all weekend long, we're like, oh, what does he want? And I did something wrong. I didn't turn my TPT reports in, and he's probably going to find out I took all the Post-it notes out of the supply cabinet. We have these thoughts, these ruminations. And so it's those thought forms, it's those identifications with that ego thought that is actually our stress. Because in this moment, where's the stress? We're dragging it around with us with these thoughts. That's why staying present is so important. And so much of what I teach is about that mindfulness and that presence, because, my father passed away recently, and I can absolutely relive that moment that I found out he died, but that's a thought form. That has nothing to do with him actually dying. Or the someday the cat's going to be gone and I'm going to miss them so much. Well, that's us dragging the future into the now with this thought form. So it's those thoughts that get us into trouble. So I start to ask myself, is this fight or flight worthy when this thing happens? I'm late for something and the guy stops at the yellow light in front of me when I thought I was going to get to go too.
Right.
Is that fight or flight worthy? Why am I putting myself into this massive chemical stress response when I don't need to? So that's what stress actually is. Now, with us humans, I see us using stress as one of two things. It's a badge of honor.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm so stressed out. I look how important I am. I'm freaking the hell out. Or two, I'm stressed, I can't do that. And it becomes this excuse for not functioning. So it's either look how important I am, or holy shit, I'm just going to sit in my house and watch Downton Abbey for the next 16 hours because I don't feel like functioning. There are times that both of those, in a very minor way can be valid. There are times we have a lot going on and it's a stressful situation. But so often I see people using it as something else. So that's my take on that.
Well, and I really like, I was listening to your TED Talks, and you have two, and they're different, but you come on the same themes. But I really love the imagery you talk about with the caterpillar, going through metamorphosis and in the process of becoming a butterfly, and how the caterpillar is only present and only in that moment, but not once he becomes a butterfly. You'll tell the story better than I do, but talking to his friends like, hey, remember that one time when I was a caterpillar and I almost got stepped on? Man, that was stressful. I mean,
yeah.
Right? Like humans were the only ones that do that, right?
Yep. We're the only animal that wants to be anywhere other than where we are right now. Because for those of you who are listening, you've already gone away multiple times. Because every 3 to 5 seconds, our brain has something really important to tell us. And if it doesn't have something really important to tell us, it'll make up shit to tell us. Mm-hmm. So you guys have already drifted off and brought yourselves back. We do this in class. We do this in church. We do this when we're watching TV. We do this when we're having sex. We do this when this is what our brain does. And every time it jets off to one of those other thoughts, it's pulling us out of this present moment. And then we're missing what this is. And it's absolutely pivotal. It's absolutely so important to plan for the future, to daydream about the future. But are you doing it at a time when you need to be doing something else, when you need to be present with this other person? So yeah, we can fantasize about the future, and we can not relive the past, but analyze the past to allow us to have a better present and a better future. It's when we're dwelling in those two other spaces. What a friend of mine say, when you have 1 foot in the past and 1 foot in the present, 1 foot in the past, 1 foot in the future, you end up pissing all over the present. Mm-hmm. I think it's actually an AA thing. I have no idea. Yeah, but it's a visual. Yeah. So to the extent that we can stay present as much as possible, our stress decreases and we have better relationships, better communication, better leadership.
Do you think that's part of the issue, is that with, this, especially as a badge of honor, right? More than the excuse side of it, because I hear that all the time, right? It's like, woe is me, which, by the way, if anybody here has paid any attention to anything that I've ever said, you will know that I am like no victims. So people who have a badge of honor of being a victim of stress, I'm like, we cannot be friends because I can't deal with you. But but there's a lot of people that come from this whole badge of honor, stress, victim mentality, right? Because it's easier. It's easier to deal with it. But do you think that stems from this, especially now, everybody's trying to multitask and do all these things. So if you're trying to multitask, which, by the way, none of us can actually do, but if you're trying to multitask, you're clearly not present in the moment. therefore, is that causing stress?
I have yes, because we're scattered. So that's like you've got 50 cents and you're standing at two vending machines and you put a quarter in the candy machine and a quarter in the soda machine and wonder why you're not getting anything. You can't scatter everything so far and wide that nothing gets completed. And when they started coming out with these, no one can really multitask and I went, I can, because I'll go through my house and I'll do 30 things simultaneously. But what I realized is I'm present with that activity as I'm doing it. So even though I'm doing multiple things in a sequence and they're seemingly scattered, I am present with that each activity as I'm doing it. Sometimes I'll file while I watch TV because that's a brainless thing that I can do. That's multitasking, but I'm not doing surgery and watching TV.
Thank God.
Right? They don't let me do surgery anymore. It was such a mess. So yes, I think that is part of it, is that we're spreading our focus so thin that nothing is really getting done well. And I think that's the thing. It's like, let's concentrate on one thing at a time, get it done well before moving on to the next thing, rather than half-assing 32 different tasks. So yes, I think that is great. And the pressure that we put on ourselves. Oh, I have so much to do. You walk into the kitchen and you see this pile of dishes and you're completely overwhelmed. So you do nothing. Just do one dish at a time. And we forget that all of these giant things that we want to accomplish start with that one little step. You don't go out tomorrow and run a marathon. Right. You run a mile and then you stretch and then you yell at yourself because you hated running that mile, and then you do 2 miles, and then I hate running, and then 5 miles.
I hate running too.
And then, but it's like, you don't just, I'm going to run a marathon today. I did have a friend that did that and he finished really quickly and we all were sort of mad at him, but he just woke up hungover and decided to run a marathon. He's like, what? Yeah, okay. Well, he's 19, so you can do that at that age.
Okay.
We can't do that anymore. No, we're smart enough to not want to, but yeah, no. So yes, I think that scattered focus is stressful because we're not in that moment on one thing.
So how do you conquer your stress? I mean, that's a pretty big claim. Conquer your stress.
Oh, it's so simple. Stress isn't the problem.
Okay, what is the problem?
Our thoughts about it. And that we can change. Well, because we can't control all this external stuff. We can't control the traffic. We can't control the government. We can't control the lady in front of us at the post office that has to look at every bloody stamp ever created before she picks the flowers anyway, when we just have one bill to make. We can't change any of that external stuff. So all we can do is change our perspective, change our focus, change our thoughts on it. And that's what the key to this is, because we have to take control of what we can. And that's only this. We can't control anybody else. We can't change anybody else. This is why I want that magic power to be able to touch them and have them see things and make these changes, because we want to. How often have we said, oh, if they'd just listen to me? Okay, we can't change any of those other people. We can only change ourselves. And by changing ourselves and leading by that example, hopefully others go, I want to be like them. Because like you said, my energy is contagious. So is my presence. So when I do my presence talk and my presence workshops and my presence work with my clients, it's very difficult to not be present with someone who's present with you. Mm-hmm. So whether it's 2 seconds at the cashier when I look at the person at Starbucks and say, thank you, as opposed to, yeah, okay, thanks, rushing off, that moment of presence, they feel, and then they're then more present. So it's this cascade of stresslessness.
Yeah,
we can all do that. We can all do that. Yeah,
absolutely. I love the story you tell, and if you could tell it better than I will, about being in England and getting the flat tire. Could you tell that story? Because I think that's such a typical stressful moment. We've all been in that situation. And what happened, and how did that change your perspective?
Okay, so I'm putting on my performance hat because I tell the story during my talk. So it's gonna, my dream was to go to England. And I realized the only way I could see the things I wanted to see in England was to rent a car. So my very first time out of the country by myself, I rented a car and I drove on the wrong side of the car, on the wrong side of the road. And I headed off by myself into the countryside of England. And this was the most magical day ever. I went to Stonehenge. I went to Woodhenge, which is right up the street. I went to Stanton Drew, Avebury, Bath. I went to all these amazing places and meditated, which I didn't know how to do yet, but I sat still and did my best to quiet my mind. And my ultimate goal was Glastonbury, which is the tour. It's considered ancient Avalon. It's the myth of King Arthur and all this stuff. And I wanted to climb up this hill at sunset, stand on top of the hill, put my arms up in the air, and like literally get sucked into the book Myths of Avalon. Like I was ready to give up my human form here and just be in some like King Arthur myth and like never come back. That was going to be my story. So I leave my last location, which is Stanton Drew, teeny little town. There's like 2 houses, a church, and a henge, and that's it, a stone circle. And I was meditating in this stone circle by myself. It was the most magical thing ever. I realized the sun was about to set. I needed to check into my bed and breakfast. I needed to climb the tour, have my magical moment, get sucked into whatever. And by this point, I was just higher than I've ever been because I got to see all this amazing stuff. This was all in one day, by the way. I'm a type A traveler. So
You're a type A everything. I love it.
I'm a type A everything. So by this point, I got the driving on the wrong side of the car thing down, and I've got the radio on, and I'm happier than I've ever been, heading to my bed and breakfast to go climb the tour. And I come around a blind curve, and there's a truck in my lane. And I swerve to miss the truck, and my tire hits this low stone wall. It's about 3 inches that skirts like the entire countryside of England. And I blow the tire. And I bend the rim on the car, and the truck just keeps on going. It doesn't even stop. So I find myself stranded here on the side of the road, and I was pissed. I was so furious because I'm an only child, and for any of the only children listening, don't interrupt our plans. We hate that. That is so, when we have a system, we're in it. So I was so upset. My day was ruined. It was the worst day of my life. I thought about calling California and complaining because I just was in that negative space where I just wanted to complain about how unfair this was to me. I called AAA, AA is their version. Could take them like an hour and a half to get there. Like, oh my God, this is the worst day ever. I call the bed and breakfast and explain to this woman, hey, I'm going to be late. I have this flat tire. And I start complaining to this woman at this bed and breakfast. And she interrupts me and says, are you safe? Like, I don't know. I'm straight on the side of the road. No one is stopping. What is wrong with you people? In my country, people see a woman on the side of the road, they stop, and like no one's even paying attention. And so she interrupts me again. And she says, are you looking at something pretty? No, I'm not. I'm staring like around this curve, hoping my AA guy is coming because I want to get to the tour and this is ruining my day. And I go off again. And she interrupts me and she says, so you'll sit, you'll wait, you'll look at something pretty, you'll get here when you get here. And she fucking hung up on me. Slammed the phone down. Okay, I was furious. I almost called her back. And then I realized probably not going to serve me. And I stood there fuming for just a minute, waiting for, everything to unfold. And I finally realized, okay, I can't change any of this. Can't stop the truck. I can't get the guy here quicker. I can't change my own tire. So for the first time, I turned away from the road and there was this gorgeous valley behind me and the sun was setting and there was that magical time where there's this like amber glow on everything and the color seemed slightly more vibrant. And I could smell this sweet grass and I could hear these cows and these sheep out in this field. And I literally just sat on this wall and I watched nature start to go to sleep. And then the AA guy came and we changed the tire and I went on my way. And yes, I missed being on the tour that night, but I had a whole nother night to see it. And I realized that the lesson in this, the spiritual quest that I thought I was on, which I thought involved me standing up on a hill with my arms in the air, was actually this woman telling me to sit there and shut up and be present and to change my focus. And this was before I studied all of this stuff. And so I remember years ago telling this story to somebody and they said, there's your story. Like, there's your story. And I realized, yeah. So when I do my stress talks, I tell that story and that was part of my TEDx. But it was such a profound shift for me when I realized what this meant, that first of all, everybody has wisdom. And I thought this woman was such a jerk for hanging up on me and telling me, it's like I was pissed at her. And then I realized, no, that was the wisdom of it, was her giving me that nugget of gold and then just disappearing. Mm-hmm. And I ended up having such a profound connection with this woman and with Glastonbury, and being on the tour and being in this town was the most amazing thing. But the lesson that came out of this whole trip was about being present and changing your focus, because we can always focus on the negative things. We can always, always, always do that. Hallie, look around the room right now, your room, and just see everything that's red. Just notice everything in your room that's red. Okay. All right, now close your eyes. Now try to remember everything that's blue.
I have no idea.
It's vastly unfair, right? Okay, the blue stuff didn't disappear.
Right.
You just weren't focused on it. You were focused on the red stuff. So if you're only focusing on the negative, what are you missing? You know, and I love doing this exercise in groups because you see, and there's always like one woman in a red sweater who suddenly goes, and I'm like, it's always the introvert. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. And then everyone starts to laugh because they realize I can't, you know, and that's what it's about. It's about changing our focus and shifting our perspective to focus on that thing we want. So if we want to accomplish things, if we want prosperity and abundance and healthy relationships and joy and weight loss, and why are we focusing on all this negative shit? Why are we doing that to ourselves? And it's really about just shutting up for a second, being present, and focusing on the positive things that you want.
Absolutely. I mean, I love all of that. It's so relatable. It's so every single day we have choices, and we can all relate to that in some way, shape, or form. I mean, my kind of cornerstone story is that I had this epic meltdown in a dressing room, you know, with horrible lighting, because that's how dressing rooms are, right? They have the most horrible lighting to make you feel at your worst and feel absolutely horrible about every inch of your body. And I had this complete epic meltdown because I couldn't stand the way that I looked. And then it turned into this like 4-year-old temper tantrum situation that lasted for like at least 18 hours. And it finally, you know, that kind of brought me to my knees, to a place where I was like, okay, I'm ready to finally make some changes about how I'm living my entire life, not just my physical being, but my, you know, my internal and my mental and spiritual and all of it. And you know, we can live in that space of victim, of negativity, of everything sucks, this is shit, why am I so tired, why is this happening to me, blah, blah, blah. Or we can, you know, see the positive. We can see the sunset on the side of the road when our tire's flat. You know, we can choose to find the moments of gratitude in the moment when we feel the most stress. Like for me, somebody actually just brought this up to me today. She said, I'm really trying to think positive thoughts, but it's so hard for me because the negative thoughts keep popping into my head. And I said to her, I said, you know, look, there's a couple of quick things you can do. First of all, just literally change your environment. That helps because it just switches it around. That's one thing. Get up, take a walk, move rooms, whatever. Change where you're at. But also in that moment when those negative thoughts start popping in, just say one thing that you're grateful for in your life. It could be, you know, anything. I'm grateful the sun is shining. I'm grateful I have clothes on my body, whatever. And it instantly switches your focus, right? So I think that's your point that you're making.
Yeah. And in defense of these negative thoughts, okay, so this is how our brain works. We're not taught to find negative things in our environment. And we're taught to find negative things, you know, depending on how you were raised. I mean, my grandmother, my God, you'd be 5 minutes late for dinner. She had you dead in a ditch. I don't know why she was so convinced. It wasn't late. It wasn't traffic. It wasn't you got held up at the office. It was you were dead in a ditch. Now, 23andMe has told me no one in my family ever died in a ditch. So I don't know where this came from. But so it's this nurture versus nature thing. And when our brain sees something negative in the environment, it latches onto that because its job is to protect us. So it is constantly scanning the environment for things that are wrong. And once we start to think those negative thoughts, they fire together. And what fires together wires together. And we're creating this whole new neural pathway of this negativity. Really hard to get out of that. It really is. I'm not saying this is easy. And we talked about this on my podcast. This is why I like affirmations, because it shifts your perspective. It lets you focus on the blue instead of the red. It allows you to stop those negative thoughts. And the more you think positive thoughts, the more you're going to rewire that way. So yes, it takes time. And yes, it sounds like bumper sticker logic of I'm prosperous and abundant. But if you say that enough, you're going to start to shift your perspective. You're going to start to rewire your brain. And we move towards that which we know. So if you've already rehearsed this phenomenal job interview, the amazing date, the amazing day, that perfect body that you want for you, I'm not talking about the perfect body, but I mean what you want to be like, your brain starts to move towards that thing which is familiar. So if you daydream about it enough, and if you affirm it enough, and if you think about it enough, you're going to move towards that thing. That's how the power of manifestation works. That's what The Secret is about. And What the Bleep Do We Know and Think and Grow Rich is moving towards that thing which you've already know you have. And that's the key to all this.
Right. And, you know, I think when we have stress as our badge of honor, as our default, right, then we kind of can't get into that headspace where we are thinking forward and thinking positively and manifesting all the things. So it's finding the little tricks that you can do each day to make it a little more positive. Because like you said, it doesn't just turn on a dime.
Yeah. And if you're using that, so much to do, as a badge of honor, what secondary gain are you getting from that? You now don't have to cook for the PTA because everyone knows you're so busy. You're not expected to participate in the carpool because everybody knows you're so busy. And it used to be, and this is shifting, but if you were so that busy, everybody just assumed you were so successful. Are you just busy, or are you actually accomplishing something?
Right.
Because I could sit in my house all day and be busy, but what the hell am I doing?
Right.
You know, I literally sat there the other night and I needed to decentrate, because we concentrate so much. I needed to decentrate. We don't talk about decentrating, we talk about concentrating. And I couldn't concentrate anymore. So I turned on the TV to, I don't know, and I organized my sock drawer because I needed to be done. It was a freaking mess. But taking that moment to order something that was brainless says to your brain, hey, you can order anything now. You can get back to that concentrating because you just did this thing that you have control over. It actually shifted my entire day.
Mm-hmm.
So I now have a very organized sports bra, socks drawer,
nice,
tank tops, and it gave me a break from my brain having to do things, and it put me in a different mindset of, now I'm focused on something else and I can concentrate now that I've decentrated for a while. It's a little trick that I use.
No, I love that. And, you know, the bottom line is this: we're all in demand. This is how life is. We are in,
Yes.
The audience here, we are in demand women. We are, we've got a lot of demands on our time, whether they're family demands, professional demands, personal demands, and they're by choice. And that's great. But sometimes you get caught up in the moment and you forget that they are by choice. And then you also can forget that you have all the choice and the power and the control to step out of that and acknowledge, I have all these things to do, but I know the tricks inside me. I know the tips. I just need to remember to use my affirmations, or to take, a couple hours to organize my sock drawer, or whatever the case is, right? Because you need to give yourself a break. I think when we forget to acknowledge that this is just part of our existence, then it turns into this bigger thing than it needs to be.
Yeah. And if it takes you a couple hours to organize your sock drawer, you maybe have too many socks. Just gonna throw that out there. I don't know how many. I have a lot of socks, trapeze socks, but no, I'm just making fun. But no, it's true. It's like remembering that we have a choice to say yes or no, and remembering that when we say yes to something, we're saying no to something else. Mm-hmm. So if you're saying yes to baking 300 cupcakes for the PTA, what are you saying no to? Your massage, you taking a break, you playing with your kids, you making love with your spouse, you cooking dinner for somebody, and when you say no to something, you're saying yes to something else. I mean, it has to be that place of balance. And I think especially parents, and I don't have kids, but I have coached a lot of parents who won't take the time out for themselves. Oh, I just feel so guilty if I take 10 minutes to get in the bathtub. And it's like, well, what are you training your kids to do?
Yes.
Then, you can't park them in front of the TV for 10 minutes. So that you can have mommy alone time, and I encourage that, because if you don't, you're setting the example of your needs are not important. Everybody else comes first. Now, there are certainly times that I put people first. I have clients that need me. I have skipped things to go see clients in need. I have left what I'm doing to go to the hospital to see people. There are times that you absolutely do that. And it's a choice. I could totally say no.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And we have to remember that everything is a choice. With every exhale, we have the ability to make a different choice, even if it's just in changing our thinking.
I love that. Any final thoughts on, conquering your stress, and tips that you would like to share on, just simple things that we can do day to day to shift our mindset so that we're not living in that space of frenzy and anxiety?
Yeah, or do a body scan, or really check in with yourself, because when we rent a car, we walk around that car and we note every ding and scratch because we're not going to pay for that. We're taking better care of the rental car than we are our own bodies. Do we know how we're feeling? Do we walk into the doctor's office and when they say, how are you? Do we go, I mean, I see that every day in my massage practice. Anything hurting today? Yeah, I don't know, something. My shoulder. I'm like, yeah, that's your neck. So know yourself, because no one can help you be healthier if you don't know yourself. And check in with your brain and your soul. And, health isn't absence of disease. It's vitality across everything: body, mind, spirit, soul, sexuality, money. Check in with everything and see how you're doing. And keep a journal, keep a gratitude journal, keep a list of things that you're thankful for. It's just a matter of really changing your focus and knowing what you want. That's the most important thing. What do you want?
Right.
And then shifting everything so that you can get that thing, because you deserve it. It is your birthright to have joy and prosperity and abundance and happiness and love and all of those things. It's all of us deserve that.
I love that. And just in your words, I just want to share that I took from you as last final Kathy Gruver quote is, don't forget, change your focus, why suffer twice, and just go for it. I love that.
Cool.
I love that.
Yay.
So, thank you so much for being here. Where can the audience connect with you if they want to learn more and grab your contagious energy?
Yeah. The best place is my website, which is kathygruver.com. And then I'm all over social media. It's either Kathy Gruver or Dr. Kathy Gruver, depending on which one. LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. I think that's it. We invented anything else. I've got videos all over YouTube, not only health videos and all of my talks, but also a lot of trapeze videos. Oh, we didn't talk about trapeze. We're going to get Hallie up on the trapeze.
Yeah.
So we'll make sure we video that and we'll put clips up on her blog. Yeah. So yeah, just connect with me. I love connecting with people, and I do personal coaching. I've got all my books, plus I do talks. So if there's a company or organization I can come in and help with stress or communication, let me know. I'm here for you.
Awesome. Well, I'll put all that in the show notes. Everybody can find you. And our next talk, because I'm putting it out in the universe. We're going to talk next time about trapeze, but we'll have to do the trapeze first, and then we can relive the moment. And we'll video the whole thing. It's going to be rad.
Oh, we could do a show live on location.
I like it. That sounds good. Well, Kathy, thank you so much for being here. I'm so grateful for you. I so appreciate you and your energy and just everything that you bring to the table. You are a fantastic human, and I know you have all those superpowers inside you. Again, I don't know about the red lights, but other than that, I think you're doing the other. So I feel that you already possess that superpower. But thank you for being here. I'm very appreciative, and thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Wasn't Kathy so much fun? Oh my gosh, she has so many nuggets of wisdom, and she is funny AF. Thank you so much for watching this week's episode of Sassy AF TV, How to Conquer Your Stress. I hope you loved it as much as I did. And if you did, would you please share it? I'd love to see it on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, wherever you hang out at Sassy Healthy Fit. Make sure to tag me so I can send you back some love. Thanks for watching.